Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is Haribol. He is sharing with us the Adi Leela of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You know, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leelas are divided into three parts. Adi Leela, Madhya Leela and Anta Leela. So this song he's describing Adi Leela, the beginning, early pastimes. This is the beginning of the saṅkīrtana movement in Navadvip. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu first began holding kirtan, nocturnal kirtans, means at night, at the house of Srivas Thakur. So, but that was a closed door, a private affair, only by invitation. Not everybody could get in that house by Srivas Pandit. In fact, one Brahmana, he came and knocked on the door was locked. Kirtan was going on. There were many people, pious people, sitting outside in the courtyard. They wanted to go in, but they know they're not allowed. But they didn't try to bust in. They just peacefully sat, and they could hear the kirtan coming through the walls. That was quite a kirtan. And it would go through the night. But one Brahman came by and he knocked on the door, and Srivas Pandit went to the door. He says, he told the Brahman, "I'm sorry, but you cannot come in. This is by invitation only." So the Brahman he didn't like that. So he said, "I live only by drinking milk. I don't eat any other food. I just live on milk. Therefore, I should be allowed to come in." So Srivas told him, "You wait right here, I will go and ask Mahaprabhu." So he went, and the Brahman stood by the door. And Srivas told Mahaprabhu, there's a fellow outside, and he says he lives only by drinking cow's milk, nothing else. And therefore he should be allowed to come in. Mahaprabhu said, "Tell him you cannot get prem just by drinking milk." So he didn't let him in. But people wanted to come in. And then eventually, after some time, Mahaprabhu felt, now it's time to take it to the streets, take it to everybody. And with his devotees, Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes in another song, "Udila aruna puraba bhage, dvijamani gaura amani jage." He describes Mahaprabhu as the jewel of the twice born. So Mahaprabhu took his devotees with him, and early in the morning, Udila Aruna means just when the sun is rising. It's still dark, but on the horizon you could see the sun is coming. And he would go into the towns and villages. Basically, he was waking people up. Jeev jago, Gaura Chandra bole. Because they were sleeping. So most people were happy to hear the kirtan coming, waking them up. Some people weren't so happy. They thought, who is this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? He's disturbing our sleep. This is Nimai Pandit. He's become so proud. But Mahaprabhu continued. And he would stop the kirtan when people gather around and speak to them very simple. Very simple. He said, Grihe thako, bone thako, sada hari bole thako. In whatever position you find yourself in, your main business is to chant the holy names. So the duty for the sannyasi, the duty for the grihastha, the duty for the brahmachari is the same. Chant Hare Kṛṣṇa. And Mahaprabhu would say, your life as you know it, and we all have, different lives, we lead different lives. He said, but that is going to end. You don't know when. At any moment your life could end. It's, of course nobody thinks about that. Everyone thinks, I'm going to live for so many years. But who says? You could die tomorrow, the day after, you could die tonight. So he says, before that time comes, you should take shelter of the holy name. Because you're in your predicament is very he said, just like Maya jole bodho hoye, acho miche kajoloye. You're tottering. You're not secure. You're not safe. Your existence is being threatened by non-existence. And of course, in the back of everyone's mind, they know this, but they choose to ignore it. And they go on with their insect-like life like an insect. No purpose, just eating, sleeping, mating and defending. And then that comes and they don't know where they're going. So Mahaprabhu says, don't die like an animal. Take shelter of the holy name as your only friend. Krishna is your only friend. He's your best friend, actually. Prahlad Maharaj, he said, Nate vidu swartagatim hi Vishnu. People, we don't know that Krishna is our best friend. So we ignore him. And we go on trying to make a comfortable situation in this material world. But no arrangement you can make is going to last. You may build a big house. So many people build big houses. And when they're building these big houses, they want to make sure the foundation is very strong, so the house won't, collapse when there's a storm or a hurricane. So they want the foundation to be strong. But Prabhupada says, but they never ask, what about my foundation? I'm gonna be kicked out. So, in this way, valuable human life is being wasted. So Mahaprabhu says, don't waste your human life. Just chant Jai Radha Madhava. Prabhupada, before every talk he gave, every lecture, he would always sing Jai Radha Madhava. And sometimes he would be transported to another world just by singing Jai Radha Madhava. So, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, this is your main business. Main business is chanting Hare Kṛṣṇa. Okay? Next song we want to sing is Shuddha Bhakta. Okay. This is my first visit to Pune. And I hope by Krishna's grace I can come again. But I believe on Monday morning after breakfast we are leaving for Chowpatty. And they're only going to get 1 day of me, the day we arrive. And that night I fly off to America and change planes and fly to Trinidad. Trinidad is in the Caribbean. That's where I was born. You have heard of the Caribbean, right? Lots of pirates there. So I used to hang out with the pirates. It's true, there are many, even now, there are many sunken ships in the waters of the Caribbean around Trinidad. Okay. Shuddha Bhakta Charanarenu by Srila Thakur Bhaktivinoda. Okay. Are you ready? Shuddha Bhakta Charanarenu Bhajanayanu Kula Charanarenu Bhajanayanu Kula Bhakta Seva Paramasidhi Premalati Kara Mula Paramasidhi Premalati Kara Mula Shuddha Bhakta Charanarenu Bhajanayanu Kula Madhavatiti Bhakti Janani Jatane Palana Kori Krishna Bosati Boli Paramaya Dare Boli Paramaya Dare Boli Jeshavastani Kuralo Brahmana Range Jeshavastani Keriboyami Pranaiba Kata Sange Mridanga Bhajo Shunite Mana Avasara Sada Jache Gaura Bhita Kirtana Shuni Anande Hridaya Nache Yugalamurti Dekhiya Mora Paramayananda Oya Prasada Seva Korite Hoya Sakala Prapancha Jaya Grihe bhajana dekhi grihete goloka baya Sharana Sidhu dekhiya Ganga Sukana Sima Paya Tulasi dekhi juraya prana Madhava toshai jani Gaura Priya Shaka Sebane Vibhana Sataka Mali Shuddha Bhakata Charana Renu Bhajanayanu Kula Bhakti Vinod Krishna Bhajane anukula pai jahan. Pratidibase parama sukhe svikara khoroye tahan. Bhakata seva paramasihi premalakti karamula. Sudha bhakata sharanarenu bhajanayanu kula. Haribol. In this song, we will hear, as I read the translation, all the practices we do in Krishna consciousness that Srila Prabhupada introduced us to. This Bhaktivinoda Thakur had given all of this. Actually, everything we are doing in the Krishna consciousness movement was given by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And therefore Prabhupada used to say, this movement is Bhaktivinoda's movement. It's his movement. Of course, he instructed his son, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, to organize. Before that, before Bhaktivinoda Thakur did this, there were no organized efforts for preaching. But Bhaktivinoda another one. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he organized. His mission was he called it Gaudiya Math. And he opened many temples throughout India. And he was preaching vigorously, fearlessly. And there was much opposition from some of the Brahmin community, because what he was preaching was that Krishna consciousness is for everyone, regardless of their caste, their status in society. These things do not matter. Nityananda Prabhu, he also felt like that. There's another song by Bhaktivinoda Thakur called Borosukhe Kabo Gai. We'll do that tomorrow. But says Jati Danya Vidya Bala Nakore Apika. Nityananda Prabhu doesn't care about your education, your background, how much money you have, your position. These things are not, but we're living in a world where people make a big deal about these things, right? there's a push to do all these things. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, that is not important. It's important, but it only goes so far. Because just like in America, in the universities, when I was a new bhakta, just a few months old, right? Few months in the movement, I went on traveling saṅkīrtana with 2 other brahmacharis, and we were living in a van in the winter, and we were going to different universities on the east coast of America. And we were selling Prabhupada's hardbound Bhagavad Gita and the big hardbound Krishna book. Only 2 books is all we had. And we thought, here we will meet the intelligent people in the universities. They have good brain. But as we were distributing books, we find out that they knew nothing about the soul. Nothing. Even the most, in the top stage, the seniors, just before leaving university, I was just a bhakta, and I would bewilder them with my questions. I would ask them, I say, can you answer me one question? They say, sure. I said, if you are not this body, then what are you? And they would say, what kind of a question is that? I was assuming that they know they're not this body, but they didn't. They said, but I am this body. And I thought, it made me realize that education there's no department for studying the nature of the soul. That's who we are, that's what we are. We are spirit souls in the material world, and this material body is basically our cell and our sentence. We have to live in this body for so many years and suffer. Suffering from beginning to the end. From birth there's suffering, and the whole life there's suffering, different kinds of suffering. Adhyatmic, adhibhautik and adhidaivik. But it's basically a life of suffering. We may not believe it, we may doubt it, but Srimad Bhagavatam tells us what life is like in the womb. It's a life of suffering. And then you come out and more suffering. So from beginning to end, but we see but we do not see. We hear but we don't hear. Well, we hear what we want to hear and we discard the rest. But our life, the Vedanta Sutra says, now is the time. Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Now is the time to inquire about Brahman, because you are that. So we say, oh, now is the time. What time? Human time. We are existing now in human time, and that's what it's meant for. But they don't teach you this. So in spite of going through so many years of education, people come out and they don't know who they are. How can you be happy if you don't know who you are or what you are? You cannot be happy. In fact, back in the 70s, I joined Srila Prabhupada's mission in New York, 1972. And At that time there was one poet, American poet. He wrote one song. In one verse he says, "We are educated fools from uneducated schools." And when I heard that, I thought, he's got it. He's right. Educated fools from uneducated schools. And Prabhupada would challenge, when he'd meet, devotees would bring professors and so on to meet him. He would challenge them. In one university, Prabhupada was speaking. When he was finished, he asked the students, any questions? But they didn't have any questions. So he said, okay, now I'll ask you a question. He said, is there any department in this university for studying the nature of consciousness, studying the nature of the soul? And they said, no, sir. He said, just see. There's no department. They study so many things. You can study a grain of sand. You know, you could take a class on trying to understand what is a grain of sand. So you can study practically anything, but who you are, nothing. So, anyway, Bhaktivinoda Thakur in this song, he's describing our process of Krishna consciousness. Give me the translation, please. Why did you take it off? Shuddhabhakata. Go to the translation. So Bhaktivinoda tells us that the dust of the lotus feet of pure devotees, enthusiastic devotional service, and service to the pure devotees of the highest order, these are the roots of the creeper of devotion. So, we must be enthusiastic. When we are given some service, we should accept it and be enthusiastic about it. You know? At the end of the song, Bhaktivinoda Thakur also repeats this message. Rupa Goswami has taught, Utsaha Nischayat Dharyat, enthusiasm for these devotional practices. Right away when I joined the movement, I was told this. One devotee said to me, you should be enthusiastic for all the devotional practices. So whenever there was kirtan, I would be enthusiastic. I would chant enthusiastically. It didn't matter who was leading. That was not our concern. But we knew that chanting these holy names, we should be enthusiastic. And then he says, holy days like Ekadashi, Janmashtami, these are the mother of devotion for the devotees who respect them and honor them. So see again, Prabhupada taught us this. He says, let the holy places of Krishna's pastimes, like Vrindavan, be my places of worship and bless me. May I always visit all the holy places associated with the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya and his devotees. Navadvip and Jagannath Puri, etc. And then he says, and when I hear the sound of the mridanga in my heart, I always desire to join in kirtan. Just hearing the sound. We have a very good mridanga player here. And when I hear the bona fide songs, means songs written by the acharyas, pure devotees, when I hear these songs describing Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, my heart dances in ecstasy. And whenever I see the transcendental Sri Vigrahas, the deity forms in the temples, the forms of Radha and Krishna or Gaura-Nitai, Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra, I am in bliss when I see them. And by taking their lordship's prasad, we can conquer over the material elements. Such an opportunity is given to us. We should never take it lightly. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur shares something with us. He says, one day while performing devotional practices, I saw my house transformed into Goloka Vrindavan. Such a thing is possible. And when I take the Charanamrita of the deity, I see the sacred Ganga that comes from the feet of Lord Vishnu, and my bliss knows no bounds. And by seeing the Tulsi tree, my heart feels joy, and Lord Madhava is also satisfied. You see? When we do all these things that we are doing here, it's coming down in disciplic succession, Guru Parampara. So, we should embrace them and perform them with enthusiasm. He says, when I eat the prasadam favored by Lord Chaitanya, it is a new life's experience. Keep going. Bhaktivinoda Thakur concludes the song by saying, whosoever, means anyone, whosoever attains the stage of enthusiasm for these devotional practices will be supremely blissful wherever he may be. Do you believe it? So, I believed it so many years ago, and so I was always enthusiastic. I know we are enthusiastic to eat prasadam, but not just that. We should be enthusiastic to hear, to chant, to serve. If we do these things with some enthusiasm, then Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, you'll always be blissful. Always be blissful. Okay? We have time for one more song, at least. Krishna tava punya have bhai. This is a very special song. This is written by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada wrote it on the boat, his first journey coming from India to America. He had suffered 2 heart attacks. I'm sure you all have read Lilamrita or heard these Prabhupada's journey. It was not easy. He didn't come on a luxury liner. He got free passage on a cargo ship. And he said he suffered 2 heart attacks on the journey. And for someone his age, this must have been very painful. He even said, I thought if I get one more heart attack, that'll be the end of me. But Krishna assured him, don't worry, I'll take you there. I'll get you to America. In this song, in the 6th verse, can you go up to the 6th verse? Yes. This is not in Bengali. The rest of the song Prabhupada wrote in his own handwriting in Bengali. But in the middle of the song, well, it's a poem, and in the middle of the poem he inserted this verse from Bhagavatam. This is a verse spoken by Prahlad Maharaj in the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's a very wonderful verse. All the prayers of Prahlad Maharaj are wonderful. He offered these prayers to Lord Nrsingadev. Lord Nrsingadev had appeared to protect Prahlad, who was being persecuted heavily by his own father. And Lord Nrsingadev came, he killed Prahlad's father, and all of his father's soldiers charged, came at Lord Nrsingadev, and he killed all of them too, with his bare hands, with his nails. And then he sat there roaring in anger. Ugra Nrsimha. He was very angry that his devotee was tortured and persecuted like this. And he was screaming so loud, Bhagavatam describes, that you could hear the screaming of Lord Nrsingadev could be heard even on the heavenly planets, far away from our earth. He was screaming so loud. And the demigods, the devatas, they came to see who's making this noise. And when they came, they saw Lord Nrsingadev sitting there, covered in blood and roaring like anything. And Lord Brahma, who also came, asked some of the demigods, go and try to pacify the Lord. And they were all afraid. They all said, we're not going to do that. They even asked Lakshmi Devi was there. And Lord Brahma asked her, he's your husband. Go and speak sweet words to him and pacify him. And she said, I know he's my husband, but I've never seen him like this. I'm not going up there. So then Lord Brahma turned to the little boy Prahlad and he said, he came because of you. So you should go up and pacify him. And Prahlad was not afraid. They said, Prahlad's Ishta Devata, his worshipable deity is Krishna. But he could recognize this Nrsingadev is Krishna. He is my Lord. So he was not afraid. And so he went with a garland and he approached Lord Nrsingadev, and Lord Nrsingadev was amazed. This little boy is so fearless. He's not afraid of me. And Srimad Bhagavatam says, as Prahlad got close to Nrsingadev, he stopped roaring like a lion and he began to purr like a kitten, a soft, gentle purr. And then he offered prayers, and he satisfied Lord Nrsingadev. Lord Nrsingadev even tried to tempt him and say, I have come, I can give you a benediction. Ask for me anything you want, anything. And Prahlad told the Lord, I am not a merchant. I am not a merchant. I don't pray to you for anything material. I don't want anything in exchange for service. So this prayer, you can chant with me. Evam janam nipatitam prabhavahi kupe. Kama bikamam anuya prapatan prasangat. Kridvat masad surasina bhagavan grihita. Soham katam nu visrije tava britya sevam. Translation to that 6th verse. There we go. See? So Prahlad Maharaj says, my Lord Nrsingadev, by associating with material desires, one after another, I was following the general population, falling into a blind well full of snakes. My dear Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, then the great sage Narada, Narad Muni, he kindly accepted me as his disciple and instructed me how to achieve a transcendental position similar to his own. So how could I ever leave the service of your servant? So I was wondering, why did Prabhupada insert this verse in the middle of his poem? And I concluded that he was thinking about this. He was relishing, he was living in thinking about the prayers of Prahlad. And that last line, where he says, Narad Muni gave me a process by which he instructed me how to achieve a transcendental position similar to his own. And I realized this was Prabhupada's mission. He was coming to give all of us, to instruct us how to achieve transcendence. So when we come to Krishna consciousness, mostly we don't know why we're here, or what for. This is why, because Prabhupada is offering us this opportunity to become transcendental. So, that said, because it's in Sanskrit, all the other verses are in Bengali, and it's in a different meter. So, I do not sing the 6th verse, but it's because it doesn't go with the meter of the melody, which is another thing. When I came upon this poem, Prabhupada calls it a prayer to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. And some of his disciples discovered it in a trunk, a piece of paper, in a trunk in the Radha Damodar temple in the rooms where Prabhupada used to stay. And they thought, wow, this is something special and unique. And they printed it. So when I came upon this some years after Prabhupada had left, and I read the translation, I thought, this is so beautiful that I wish I could sing it. So I said a little prayer to Prabhupada, saying, I want to sing this poem of yours, so that devotees can learn to sing it also. Please, give me your mercy. And then a few days later, I sat down with the book, with the poem, and a melody came to me, this melody that I'm going to sing. So it's a gift. It's a gift from Prabhupada. Okay? So let's sing. Krishna tava punya have bhai, Krishna tava punya have bhai, Krishna tava punya have bhai. E punya koribe jabe, Radharani khushi hobe, Druvayati boli tomai tai. E punya koribe jabe, Radharani Druvayati boli tomai tai. Krishna tava punya have bhai, Krishna tava punya have bhai. Sri Siddhanta Saraswati Sachi Sutta Priyayati Krishna Sevai Jara Tulanai. Tulanai. Sei se Mahanto Guru Jagate Madhya Uru Krishna Bhakti Detai Tai. Bhakti Detai Tai. Krishna tava punya have bhai, Krishna tava punya have bhai. Tara icha balavan Pasadete tan hoijate gorangiranam. Prithivite nagorari asamudra naranari sakale loi Krishna Ram. Krishna tava punya have bhai, Krishna tava punya have bhai. Tahale ananda hoy, tobe hoy digvijay, Chaitanya kripa अतिशय माया दुष्ट जथा दुखी जगते सबाय सुखी वैष्णवेर इच पूर्ण হয় पूर्ण হয় কৃষ্ণ তব পুণ্য হবে বাই কৃষ্ণ তব পুণ্য হবে বাই হবে বাই সে কার্য যে করিবারে আগে আদেজি দিল মরে যোগ্য নাহি আজি দীনহীনা তাই সে তোমার কৃপা মাগিতেছি অনুরূপা আজি তুমি সবর প্রবীণা से शक्ति पेले गुरु सेवाय वस्तु मिले जीवन सार्थक जदि হয় সেই সে সেবা পাইলে তাহারে সুখী হলে তব সঙ্গ বজ্ঞাতে মিল साथी बुलिया माया लाठी कायाची जन्मा जन्मांतरे कायाची जन्मा जन्मांतरे আজি পুনারে সুযোগ যদি হয় যোগ যোগ তবে পারি তুমি মিলিবারে তব পুণ্য হবে বাই কৃষ্ণ তব পুণ্য হবে বাই তোমার মিলনে বাই আবার সে সুখ পায় গোচরণে গুরি দিনভর কোথা বানে ছুটাছুটি বনে খায় লুটাপুটি সেই দিন কবে হবে মর লুটাপুটি কবে মর কৃষ্ণ তব পুণ্য হবে বাই কৃষ্ণ তব পুণ্য হবে বাই সুবিধানে marana bela boro asha dakilam tai. Ami tomar nitya das thai koriete aar tumi bina anya gati naai. Ami tomar nitya das Krishna tava punya bebar, Krishna tava punya bebar. করিবে যবে রাধা রানী খুশি হবে রূপয়াতি বলি তোমায় তাই। এ পুণ্যা করিবে যবে রাধা রানী খুশি হবে রূপয়াতি বলি তোমায় তাই। Ruvayati boli tomai tai. Ruvayati boli tomai tai. Haribol. So, this refrain is most important because all the other verses hinges on this refrain. That's why I sing the first line in between each verse, Krishna tava punya habibai. What is important to note is Prabhupada kept a diary on the boat, on the journey, crossing the ocean. And every day he would enter sometimes just a couple lines in his diary. Like one time he wrote, before he did, he wrote saying, today I cooked, I always forget the name, he said, I cooked this Bengali preparation and it was very good. He kept himself, Prabhupada was very Krishna conscious. There was not a moment or day that he was not fully Krishna conscious. So we've never met anybody like that. He's always 24/7 Krishna conscious. So he says in his diary, today I revealed my mind and heart to my dear companion, Sri Krishna, in the form of a poem. This is the poem. So, and throughout the poem, whenever it appears like he's having a conversation with Krishna. And he's addressing Krishna not as he does in his books. He doesn't say, O Supreme Personality of Godhead. He calls him Bhai. My dear friend, or my dear brother. He's addressing him in an affectionate way. This is the only place you see Prabhupada like this. And this was on the boat coming to America. So, when I first came upon this word, Bhai, I was in Laguna Beach at the time. I was a temple president. And I became friends with two Indian gentlemen They were devotees, of course. They'd come to the temple. One of them, his name was Chiman Kotecha, and the other fellow was Pranjivan Popart. But I noticed whenever they were talking, Pranjivan would address Chiman as Chiman Bhai. I noticed that, so I had to ask one day, what does this Bhai means? And they said, this is an affectionate way. It means my dear friend, or my dear brother. So then, years after, when I came upon this song, I realized Prabhupada is talking to Krishna like a friend, Sakya, my dear Krishna, my dear friend. So he begins this conversation by telling Krishna, I know something about you, my dear friend. And Krishna says, oh, what is that? What do you know about me? He said, E punya koribe jobe, Radharani kushi hobe. I know that you are always seeking the blessing or mercy of Radharani. And this is what he said, not only I know this, but all Gaudiya Vaishnavas know this. Other people from other sampradayas, they don't know this. Prabhupada said, everybody wants Krishna's blessing, but Krishna wants Radharani's blessing. So he tells Krishna, and this is, your life revolves around Radharani, like the pole star, Dhruva Loka. Dhruvayati boli tomai thai. That is fixed. So he said, so for all time, this is how you are, this is who you are. Your life is centered on Radharani, revolves around Radharani. So Krishna said, wow, so you know this about me. He said, yes, not only me, but all Gaudiya Vaishnavas know it. Why? How did they know this? Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this is his sampradaya really. We say, Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. Some devotees say, no, this is Chaitanya Sampradaya. Because he gives this insight. He's Krishna himself, coming as a devotee of Krishna. And he's teaching us how to worship Krishna. So Krishna, hearing Prabhupada speak like this, he says, so what do you want? You know this about me? You must want something. Prabhupada said, well, in the first verse he introduces his Guru Maharaj. Sri Siddhanta Saraswati Sachi Sutta Priyayati Krishna Sevai Jaratulanai. He said, my Guru Maharaj is a very dear servant of the son of Mother Sachi, means Gauranga. And he is a great devotee. He is spreading Krishna consciousness all around the world. Prabhupada is writing this, and this has not happened yet. Hasn't happened yet. But he knows that's what his Guru Maharaj wants. So he's speaking to Krishna as if it's happening. He says, he's spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world, in every town and village. And he said, but he has asked me to preach in English language, in the English speaking. But I think I'm most unqualified. This is Vaishnava humility. right in the beginning, Prabhupada shows that he is steeped in humility. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said, Trinadapi sunichena, tarorapi sahishnuna, amanina manadina, kirtaniya sadahari. If you develop this kind of humility, humbler than a blade of grass, more tolerant than a tree, offering respects to everyone and not expecting any respect for yourself, he said, then you can chant. Then you can chant constantly. So Prabhupada said, so my Guru Maharaj, he's asked me to do this mission impossible. Remember, at that time, Krishna consciousness hadn't left India. Bhaktisiddhanta had opened mats, temples all over India. But outside of India, you'd never hear of this. We knew nothing about Krishna. We never even heard the word Krishna. Never heard the word Chaitanya. So Prabhupada said, he has asked me to do this mission impossible. And I feel I'm unqualified. But you are the most expert, most wise. If you help me, then it is possible. And if I can satisfy my Guru by doing this service, then my life is successful. We sing every morning, Yasya prasada bhagavat prasadu, Yasya prasada nagati kutopi. If we satisfy our Guru, then Krishna is satisfied. And if we displease our Guru, then our whereabouts are unknown. You don't know where you're going to be. So Krishna said, so you want me to help you? He said, yes. And there's another reason why you should help me. He said, my Guru Maharaj, he's a servant of Radharani. Yes. He's a confidential servant of Radharani. He belongs in Radharani's camp. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati had revealed in a letter to one of his disciples what was his swarup. He's a manjari, Nayanamani manjari. So Prabhupada knew all of this. So he tells Krishna, he is a servant of Radharani. And he has asked me to do this preaching work. But I can understand that because he's a servant of Radharani, that Radharani is behind the saṅkīrtana. Yes, she's not aloof from it, she's behind it. And so Prabhupada said, so, if you help me to do this, that will be good for you. You know? In other words, Radharani will be pleased with you. And so we think for sure Krishna showered what Prabhupada accomplished in a short space of time. When you think about it, it's impossible. No ordinary person could have done it. But he did it. And we are all here because of that, his preaching. Still, the Krishna consciousness movement is expanding. It is a pastime of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And we are fortunate to be part of it. So in no small way, Krishna showered his blessings on Prabhupada. And now we're sitting here in this opulent temple But the first year, you all know, Prabhupada struggled in New York City. Sometimes he was homeless, means living on the streets. But his determination never wavered. He said sometimes, he says, I was alone, but not really alone. Alone, but never alone. Because my Guru Maharaj was always looking over me, guiding me. And Krishna was there. So, therefore this song is so wonderful. But then, actually in this 7th verse, you could go to the English translation. 7, yeah. Go to the translation, please. He says, O Lord Krishna, you are my eternal companion. Forgetting you, I've only suffered the kicking of Maya, birth after birth. But if today the chance to meet you occurs again, then surely I will be able to rejoin you. Go up. This verse here, the 8th verse. This here, Prabhupada's expressing his aspiration, his desire, what he wants. Although this is real desirelessness. His desire is not material. It's like Narottam Das Thakur in his song Hare Kṛṣṇa Pranamora. He expresses his aspiration. So he says, I want to serve Radha and Krishna in a specific way. So Prabhupada here in this verse expresses his aspiration. He says, oh my dear brother, in your company I will experience great joy once again, wandering about the pastures and fields. And I will pass the entire day with you, tending the cows, joking with you, and frolicking throughout the many forests of Braj. I will roll upon the ground in spiritual ecstasy. When, oh when will that day be mine? So, there is nowhere else that Prabhupada expresses his aspiration. But he did this on the boat coming to America. Let's read the last verse. He says, today, that remembrance of being with you came to me in a very nice way. Feeling great longing, I called out for you, O Lord Krishna. Only because I am your eternal servant do I desire your association so much. Except for you, I have no other refuge. So, it's most beautiful poem. And now we can sing it. We sang it. So, we sing the songs of Narottam Das Thakur and Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Why not sing Prabhupada? And Prabhupada has said, he told us that the songs of Narottam Das Thakur, he said, they're as good as the Vedas. These acharyas have woven in their poems, in their songs, the Siddhanta, the conclusion. Just by studying these songs, you can learn so much about Krishna consciousness. So you have time, study the song. It's really nice. Prabhupada liked to sing the bhajans. Even in the very early days, when he got his first few disciples, he would sit in his room with a harmonium and sing these bhajans, relish in them. Of course, at that time, none of his disciples could follow him or anything, but he was relishing them. And he was happy when one disciple put out the first songbook. It was Achyutananda Swami at that time. And Prabhupada wrote a foreword in the beginning of the book, saying how he was very glad that the society can now have these songs. So these songs are, I like to say, these are some of the matchless gifts that Prabhupada gave. Don't neglect it. Actually, there's one purport in the 7th canto. He said to sing these songs and chant these songs of the Acharya. He said this will help us in our Krishna conscious journey. So it's the most wonderful thing, and it's a nice way. You know, it's in song. We all like songs, right? Everyone likes to sing and dance. We get it in Krishna consciousness. But this is not cinema songs. These are pure devotional bhajans given by the Mahajans. So if you take advantage of them, you will feel how your Krishna consciousness is improving. All right? I think we went over time. But we could chant one short Hare Kṛṣṇa. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna. This is known as Prem Sankirtan. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's a section where the king of Puri, Raj Prataparudra, him and his guru, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, were up on the roof looking at the street, and Mahaprabhu's devotees from Bengal were coming into town doing saṅkīrtana, and they were playing mridangas and kartals and dancing and singing, and the king was stunned seeing them, because this was not, this was not common anywhere in India. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu brought this. So the king says, "What is this? I've never seen this. I've seen all kinds of people, all kinds of devotees come to Puri to see Lord Jagannath, but I've never seen anything like this. What is this?" And Sarvabhauma said, "Oh, this is a special creation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's called Prem Sankirtan." Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has woven a garland of prem around the holy names, and he's distributing that. Somehow or other, we are attracted and we are chanting Hare Krishna. But it comes from Goloka. Golokera Premadan Harinam Saṅkīrtana. Mahaprabhu brought this. So we should embrace it and take pride in this process. Ordinary people may not understand. But again, we said, they're educated fools coming from uneducated schools. So they do not understand. But you have some sukriti. You can appreciate this. Prabhupada came and we knew nothing. At least in India, still, there's some culture. But in the West, there's no culture. They are good at so many things, but spiritually, the West is bankrupt. But Prabhupada came and he's giving us this. This is the desire of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yes. So, we have one more day here tomorrow. Hare Krishna.